So, Masters of the Universe. Well, was it a good movie or was it a drop? I'm going into this video not knowing anybody's opinions online besides a Google search where I looked at the stats for this movie. Close to a number I don't want to say, two numbers actually. 68% Rotten Tomatoes, 6.9 out of 10 on IMDb. If I have to say my opinion on this movie, if I have to rate it out of 10, I'll give it a 6.5 out of 10. And, that's kind of close to the IMDb rating or whatever you want to per se. I have this water right here. This is my first time having this shit. But okay, in all seriousness, the movie itself was greatly made. The production was awesome. I feel like, it was for a live action movie because I heard it was a condensation of a video game series which became a show. Then that show became a live action movie, transformed into all of these different things throughout decades. And it's a series that many people like. This is kind of my bigger introduction to this series. I heard of it many times before, but I haven't paid attention until now. And like I said, the production of the movie, great. I feel like the coloring, the way the characters look match the descriptions of how people look. Except Skeletor. Maybe Skeletor wasn't the best design in my opinion, but it was all right. I feel like it kind of gave me I don't know if this is crazy to say, but it kind of gave me the Mario movie vibes a bit, but more serious. And I feel like it definitely had that serious aspect to it, but it kind of didn't at the same time. I feel like in terms of storytelling, they made the main character, which is He-Man himself. Let me say his actual fucking name. Yeah, which is He-Man himself. They could have made him a bit more serious. Me and my friends were debating about this, he's a superhero. He's supposed to be goofy. He'll become more serious later on. And then my other friends I disagree with that. I feel like, you were on Earth for more than 15 years. You lost your sword. You should have, grown up a bit and stopped being a little pussy. But, that's another thing with the movie. It feels like the story is a bit choppy. I feel like the story isn't, it's consistent in a way, but it just feels a bit choppy and grainy. They could have made it more smooth with certain elements. After he was on Earth for a bit, they could have gave a bit more context on why he's such a little pussy. Throughout, they could have gave more context. Yes, he was obsessing over his sword, but what did he do to, he didn't grow as a character. He essentially was himself as a little kid throughout the whole movie, and I feel like that's probably why people don't fuck with it. And that kind of goes on to the later parts of the movie where you have dialogue with him, and the dialogue is just, I feel weak. Him being this loser from Reddit kind of type of vibe, and he just he's just talking I just met, what's her name? I think her name's Tesla? Tila? I think Tila. That should be her name. The girl he was trying to go after, Tila. Basically, he's trying to oh my gosh, Tila, you see me after all these years. We need to get together. Da 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 da. I deserve you. It's just bro, what's wrong with you, bro? What's wrong with you? You think just because you have a fucking sword, you deserve this girl, and he's just such a loser, bro. It's watching the reverse version of Obsession. He's just a fucking loser. But let me stop hating on him for the first part of the movie, he's a kid, he gets a pass. Second half, middle, where he's, he doesn't fully get his power up until a bit when he gets his power. He doesn't get a pass. Fucking loser. Just ruins the movie. The main character ruins the movie with his dialogue in the second parts of the movie. And then third, he gets his power up. He's beating people up. I would honestly go to say that, like, he's pretty OP, which what we did expect. I feel like, he's really OP. Now I'm gonna get into like more of the actual cast now, because I feel like, the most important thing about a movie first off is the main character and how they act. And I feel like the main character, he is one of the reasons why the movie probably didn't perform as good as it potentially could have. But okay, now I feel like the cast itself was alright. In the beginning you had freaking Tila's dad, man at arms. You had Man at Arms, and you had like the whole like cast themselves, like freaking Fist, freaking dude that dives into everything, the dude with the long neck, all of the like the Z fighters and shit, kind of, right? So I feel like they were decent. I feel like when he came back, when they were fighting in initially the beginning fight scene, they did good. When we came back to like the fucking wonderland of wherever He-Man resides, I feel like that was good too. They were like, yo, who the fuck is this guy? Like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, we don't know you. And that, I feel like that part was interesting. They didn't like show the king's son, the prince's, his respect or whatever. I feel like overall the cast was pretty solid for this movie. They did their part. They could have been there a bit more, but we don't question that. Like, maybe if they were there more, it could have like made the movie less of the movie. I don't know. But okay, to be fair, like I'm trying to like wrap it up towards the end of the movie. They introduce like this fucking robot, like it's like this maid robot or whatever. And the maid robot wasn't in the movie for like the whole time. Maybe it was, but it was just a fucking robot that Man at Arms like programmed to like not fight for a bit. And I feel like the robot is just like kind of shit. Like, it's just a shit add-on. It's just random to give them like a fighting chance against Skeletor and his like whole army and crusade or whatever you want to call it. And it just adds on like a lot of like extra like shit that doesn't need to be added on. And the context of it is a bit like, oh, we got this cool fighting robot, like I said again. But it's just it was just random, like not much building towards that robot. I feel like they could have, if they wanted to include people more, they could have put the cast in more. If they wanted like more fighting chances or whatever. I guess they did have like a major death with fucking Moss Man or whatever, but that could have been preventable really if they, at least they killed somebody off. I didn't want anybody to get killed off, but fucking Moss Man got like fucking shitted on. But yeah, so towards the end of the movie, I'm like remembering bits and pieces here. I'm so bad at like fucking reviewing stuff and telling stories sometimes. But the end of the movie, the big fight or whatever, it was, it was solid. Honestly, really solid. I feel like the fight between Skeletor and He-Man lived up to its hype. The slow motion effects when He-Man was like fucking awesome. Fucking awesome fight scenes. Honestly, peak. I feel like that's what made the movie get like, that's one of the good parts of the movie, the better parts, besides like, how the characters look, the world building, good part of the movie. Once I seen that part, it was like I fell in love with He-Man, kind of. Pause, not like the series. But overall, the movie is, I'll give it a 6.7. 6.7 out of 10. The movie was great for the most part. Hopefully, the second one comes out and maybe the rating for the first one would go up. Because, sometimes when a movie comes out, the first one isn't so good. Like, the prequel isn't the best. But when the second one comes out, it kind of bumps up the prequel because you're like, oh shit, that makes sense. Like, this is why he was such a little pussy at the beginning, but only time could tell. But yeah, thank you for watching.